reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
So we're here at the ArenaNet booth with Jeff Grubb. And Jeff, can you tell us a little bit about what your job is with ArenaNet?
But sure, I'm a game designer with ArenaNet. I am responsible for lore and continuity, which means I'm a world builder. I and Reese Osby basically help put together the world, the races, the names, the characters, oversee the character arcs, and make sure everything fits together.
So how challenging was it for you to write all this and to create all this for an IP that was already there and that you had to stay true to with a lot of fans?
Well, I came in on I joined ArenaNet at the very, very end of Factions. I mean, like the last 6 weeks sort of thing. So was responsible for a story for Nightfall and Eye of the North. And as a result, what we learned there basically was the foundation stone that allowed us to jump 250 years and go into Guild Wars 2 from a story side. So we got a chance to do some incredible foreshadowing. We got to introduce the Asura and the Norn in Eye of the North. We got to, start to resolve the Char. They're not old, brutish bad guys with, Pyre Fearshart. We got an idea of different type of Char. And at the very end of Eye of the North, we said, there are new races, and we show the pale tree growing. And that was the first hint you got that the Sylvari were going to be with us.
So working on the lore and then getting to work on the novels, the first novel as well, how did that help you when you were looking to at Guild Wars 2? And you wrote that first novel, getting into the story for Guild Wars 2. That must have been fun to be able to link those things in for players to experience in Guild Wars 2.
We had the story, the theme, the plot of Guild Wars 2 in an early state, even when we did Eye of the North. So we knew what we were going to do. We knew of the Elder Dragons were coming. We knew that how we were going to build it and how we wanted to resolve the storyline. So that stuff was already set down. Now I say that it's very tough to write a novel for a shared world or a licensed product. It's doubly difficult for a world that is currently under development because we're an iterative company. We change things. We look at stuff and say, does that work? No, it doesn't. Let's change it. We redid the look and feel of the Sylvari recently. We did one draft and they sort of look like green humans. And okay, that's nice, but not what we wanted. And Kristen came up with this incredible look and feel for the Sylvari that's just absolutely fantastic. So we are relentless in our improving. Now, when you're writing a novel, that drives you crazy because, okay, they're going to go here and they're going to do this. What? It's no longer there? Uh-oh. We're in trouble.
So how much of internal discussion was there with redesigning the Sylvari so late into development when we'd already had the races trailer that had come out and they looked completely different from what they look now? Was it an easy discussion? Were there people on both sides of the fence, or did it pretty much, she came forward with the design and everybody said, that's what we have to do?
It was very much a discussion in the fact that, but at no time did we say, well, we already did this. We're done. We've shown it to people. It's shipped. We looked at it more from a standpoint of, can we afford the resources? Can we afford the changes? Does the change give us that much more that makes it worth doing? And the answer to all of those was yes. And so basically, Kristen got the green light. She spent a lot of time on it. She, got very deep into she throws herself into her work. She's also responsible for our dyes system. And I don't know if have you seen the stuffed animals?
No.
We have a stuffed Char. We call him Cute Lock. And she was, we got an early draft of that and she looked at it and said, I don't know about this. And she started playing around with it, coming up with a better design for it. So it's part of the dedication that we have in our people. And when we were redesigning, we went back and say, what have we said? In the novels, we said this, and this about Kylene in Ghost of Ascalon. Will that still be true after we do the redesign? And the answer is yes. With the Sylvari, we set up, when we started out with the Sylvari, we said we had like three, was a 3-beat connected to them. They were noble, they were beautiful, they were plants. And every design that we've done uses different components of them. And so while we made changes to it, we stayed true to the core ethos.
So your personal time in game, what is your racing class that you most love to play with?
From Guild Wars 1, I'm a Wamo. I just warrior monk, very straightforward. But my favorite is Elementalist, primarily because I like being able to stand back and be able to see the entire battle. In Guild Wars 2, I am a big fan of the Necro. You're never alone. You always got your menagerie with you. And I really like the Thief, because I'm not a particularly dexterous player, and the Thief gives you the ability and the requirement to move around a lot. You're not going to be able to soak up a lot of hits, but so you basically have to be light on your feet. So I am really maneuvering a lot more when I'm a Thief. Guild Wars 2 really rewards maneuver in the first place, so my warrior's moving around, my elementalist is finding the best place to attack, but for the Thief, that's where I'm doing a lot of the rolling, I'm doing a lot of the pulling back. Early on, we had a skill where you heal and you jump back 50 feet, and I kept jumping off cliffs. So we worked on that one. That's not the first heal skill you get anymore.
So looking at in Guild Wars 2 with the story instances and the way that you're doing that with the first time through is a story, and the second time through is the explorable mode. Can you give us an overview of sort of what that's going to look like with how that story is going to go? Is it going to be each one is its own story, or is it an overarching story that goes through all the instances? Or? There
are a number of stories that we're telling in Guild Wars 2. One is the big epic story of the world, and you see that through the event system, and you see the threat of the dragons. One of them is your personal story based upon decisions that you make in character generation and you make during the game that sets you down certain paths. And there's what I call the epic story, which is the story in Edge of Destiny. We talk about the 5 iconics of Destiny's Edge, and when you go into the game, one of these characters will be your mentor. If you're an Asura, your mentor will be Zosha. If you're a Norn, your mentor will be Air. And as you go through the story, you get you start out working for your mentor, you work alongside your mentor, you're your mentor's friends, and you discover something's wrong in your mentor's life. And something has gone wrong, and part of that problem is the group broke up. And so the story of the dungeons of our large multiplayer instance is the story of those characters going forward and getting together or not getting together. So it does have a meta arc, it does have a story that goes through it all. That said, each of those dungeons has its own set story within it. And in general, as far as plot, is you go in and you suddenly discover that everything is not what you expected it to be. So you go in, Air is going into the catacombs of Ascalon. Basically, why is she going? We don't know. You're going in after her. And then you get in there and discover that something much nastier is going on. So, and then as a result of the story, I know, I go on. As a result of the story, the explorable mode grows out of the story mode. It's the idea of what we keep saying about how actions got consequences. So what happens as a result of the resolution of the story, that sets the stage for our explorables.
So I know that I don't know if you can talk about this, but with the scaling system, where when you go back to an instance, a dungeon, when you are at level cap, it's going to scale you back from what I understand to the level of that dungeon originally, correct?
To a maximum level for that dungeon, and I hesitate only to say that everything's currently under design, so that may not be a final. But we are looking at the idea in the event system, if you come in at a higher level than the area you're around, you can't bring your 80th level into Shaymore and start kicking centaurs around. Your level will also scale down.
Now, what about the gear that you're going to get through that? Can you talk about that at all with the scaling? If you go in with your level 80 character, are you going in simply for the experience, or are you going to be able to earn something through that playtime?
I think you're going to be able to earn something through that. Going through the instance dungeons, as opposed to getting a particular type of armor, you will get a item, a token, a spendable experience point that then you can spend it in a number of different ways. This also gets away from the whole idea of you go through the entire dungeon and you get a piece of equipment that you can't use. That's, that drove me crazy, So we're looking for something that solves that problem. And by coming up, this increases, again, the social social capability of people playing the game.
I know for me, I love instances. That's what I love to play in any MMO. And ever since I read Edge of Destiny and saw the stories that were starting to come out in the media about working with Destiny's Edge in those stories, that's something that I'm really, really excited about. So thank you.
Well, and the good thing about it is you don't have to have read Destiny's Edge to know the story of what's going forward. You learn it as you go through. Your character learns what's going on with the characters. So it's not a requirement. But Destiny's Edge is a good book, and it has done a great job help setting the groundwork for us. So as we move forward with the story of the game.
Absolutely. So we've got a few listener questions.
Okay.
All right, let's start out. I know that you're going to be talking a lot about guilds in the panel this afternoon, so we'll save the stuff about guilds for then.
Okay.
But a couple of questions about that. My guildies are planning on playing different races. When will we be able to meet up in game?
If it takes you about 10 minutes to go to create your character and go through the tutorial, it should take you about 15 minutes to hook up with other people in other races. So if you're running a human and your friend's running a char, you basically do your initial instance tutorial, and then after that, you can reach each other. The major cities have surrogates that link them. So basically now when you're in the char area, you're going to be having char events, and you may be working on your char friend's personal story, which is for you, your personal story is back there in Divinity's Reach. So, but you can play together almost immediately.
Awesome. And will there be chests spawning in explorable areas similar to the mechanic for harvesting or other crafting resources? Will thieves be able to pick the locks?
We do have an extensive crafting system. There is crafting available all throughout the resources available all throughout the game. As far as chests, still under discussion. If you play the Tequatl demo today, at the end of it, we award people with a big giant chest that shows up. Will that continue? Unknown at the moment. Will we give thieves a bonus for it? Unlikely, because we want everybody to be able to access it. In Guild Wars 1, it always drove me crazy. We'd have chests spawn, and I wouldn't have a key. And I just never cared for that. So
that's quite frustrating. Can we get a bit of a preview of what Sea of Sorrows will be focusing on?
Sure. Sea of Sorrows is our third novel. First one was Ghost of Ascalon. Second one was Destiny's Edge by Rob King. The third novel is by Rhys Osby, who is our other lore master, and it is the story of Lion's Arch. When Zaitan rose from the sea, when Ore came back to the surface, it wiped out all the towns and cities along the Sea of Sorrows, including Lion's Arch. And in the wreckage arose sort of a pirate community, sort of a rough and tumble merchant survivor. And this is the story of the foundation and growing of Lion's Arch, told through the story of one man. The name of it, Sea of Sorrows. It's by Rhys Osby.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been fantastic, and we can't wait to play the game.
Well, thank you very much. If you get a chance, play our demo. It's really cool.
Awesome. Thank you.